As the sun set on the valley, Cunningham, Monty, and Hawes stood behind a big rock and began talking about moving to a different spot. If they did that, they would have to travel on a new path, which was always a risk. That's how the enemy slays U.S. soldiers, Cunningham thought. He waits until we're in a vulnerable place. And there was no guarantee they'd be able to find a better, more defensible post. This area of the ridgeline was wider than others, and there were a few big boulders here that they could use for cover. They were discussing doubling the number of troops on guard shift for the night when an RPG exploded in the tree above them. While there are many different types of grenades and RPGs, in general an RPG may be pictured as resembling a rocket about the size of a man's forearm. When fired from a tube, it becomes something like a combination of an immense bullet and an explosive. RPGs can take down helicopters and stop tanks. Human bodies, flesh and bone, muscle and tissue, pose little impediment to them. First comes the force of the explosion, the blast wave that inevitably knocks soldiers down and perhaps knocks them out. The high-pressure shock wave is followed by a blast wind that sends an overpressure through the body, causing significant damage to tissue in the ears, lungs, and bowels. If a soldier survives the initial hit of an RPG and manages to regain his bearings, only then will he notice the effects of the considerable shrapnel produced by the device. The RPG's casing, now in the form of myriad penetrating fragments, will have been hurled in all directions. The irregular shape of these fragments can slow down their trajectory as they fly through tissue, at times making their impact more painful than that of a bullet. A leg or an arm may be turned to mash or even liquefied by shrapnel. If you're a soldier in battle and an RPG hits a tree near you, you get down and hope that another one doesn't land closer. The first thing Smitty did was look at his watch to see what time he was going to die. Private First Class Sean Smitty Smith was lying down and just putting out a cigarette, a local brand called Pine Light, when the shooting started. He and 6 other troops were at the northern end of the team's position near the tree line. The other 5 were Franklin Woods, Brian Bradbury, Private First Class Derek James, Specialist Matthew Chambers, and Specialist Sean Heistand. Woods had heard a shuffling of feet, but before he could say anything, the shooting started, the fire coming so quickly and so ferociously that many of the troops didn't even have time to grab their weapons. There were approximately 50 Afghans shooting at them from about 150 feet away to the north, and some more immediately to the west, all so close that the troops near the tree line could see their faces as they fired at the Americans with their Russian-made